Hello, this is Deb from Indiana SRN, and I'm here to say thank you to our loyal sponsors, schools, coaches, and friends. Your support continues to keep high school athletics on internet radio and webcast. It is our goal to highlight student athletes throughout our great state. We are scheduled to broadcast over 300 games this season, and you can find us broadcasting at high school football stadiums, basketball and volleyball courts, baseball and softball diamonds, next to the wrestling mats, at lacrosse fields, and the soccer pitch. If you would like to know more about how to get your favorite school on radio or webcast, contact us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Coach has enjoyed his time with you during the Sportszone show. Thank you again. And if you're enjoying this show or would like to sponsor any of our broadcasts, you can contact us via email at coach@indianasrn.org. Thank you again for listening and watching Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. And don't forget to join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Sportszone.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's the Sportszone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN sports team. Made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
Well, welcome to the Sportszone this morning, and joining us on the hotline. Longtime friend. I mean, I've known this guy since 2005. Basketball coach up at Trinity of Greenlawn up in South Bend, Indiana. Won a couple state championships in 2007, 2008? Is that right?
Yeah, it's Trinity School of Greenlawn.
Yeah, it's Dick O'Day. He also was one of the original guys that got Indiana SRN started, as he did color analyst. You did your coach's color analyst for us for maybe, 3 years, I think?
3 or 4. I think it was 3, and then I skipped a year and came back down for a year.
Yeah. Dick O'Day joins us, and Bill Ludlow broke you into the business, but you were into business of radio.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of radio. Started in radio in 75, I think.
Yeah. Thank goodness you're not on the TV, because you don't have a face for TV, Dick. You have.
Wait, I just shaved for you. I look good.
Early morning shave. Hey, talk a little bit.
Les, I wanted to shave for this interview. Make sure everybody saw that beauty.
I appreciate that. So talk a little bit about the Indiana Christian State Tournament. You guys came in late in that, but talk a little bit about that tournament and how you got your kids fired up to play for state championships.
Well, in 2006, I took over Trinity in 2005, and they were coming off a 4-23 season. And I literally had to talk to parents and kind of convince the kids to come out. It was funny. I got to see them in the summer. They were in a summer league at Granger Christian, and my dad was in town from California, and my wife and my dad and I went and watched them play. And as we were coming out, he said, "You're really not considering coaching those kids, are you?" I said, "Why?" He said, "They're terrible. They're just terrible." And I said, "But you didn't see the one thing I saw was heart." And that's how it all started. I mean, I took those kids and showed them the heart of the game, and we got to go to our first tournament and lost to Fort Wayne Homeschool by 1. The girl had a putback with 4.6 seconds left, I believe it was. I'm screaming for a timeout, couldn't get it, and our half-court prayer didn't go in. And I remember all the tears in the locker room. And the team was so young. I said, if you really want this bad enough, we'll work over the summer. And that's where it started for us to being the champion. We went down to McCracken team basketball camp down in Huntington. And the schools down there that went to that tournament were huge. It was Homestead, Huntington North, St. Mary's out of Dearborn, which led the state of Michigan that year in three-point shooting. And I never told the kids who they were playing. We just went and played, and came out of that camp. I believe it was 9-3, and we just started rolling. And we got into when we got into our second tournament, the kids were fired up. They weren't going to be denied. I mean, I never saw kids come together so much. I mean, it was sportsmanship. Kid would be one of the girls would be on the floor, and the whole team would rush to pick her up. I mean, you just knew you had something special going when that stuff like that happens.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the tournament itself and how regions, we played regionals to get to the state finals. I know one year the state finals was held at Northeastwood. Then we branched out to larger venues. It was an atmosphere, as many people talk, it was almost like the NIT of the NCAA back in those days. And it really has grown into, I think this would be their 25th year if the tournament would have been played. It very, very interesting because you guys were the founders and started blowing that tournament up. And, now their kids are playing in the state tournament.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, our second year we went down, I believe it was in Indianapolis, but I don't remember the name of the facility. And first we had to get through regionals, and Granger Christian was always a huge nemesis and a big rivalry between the two schools. And we beat them in the finals. We got through the first game, played them in the second game, and ended up getting our way down to Indy. It was just I've been through the Indiana High School Athletic Association tournament and know what that's all about. And it's had the same feeling. Maybe we didn't draw 17,000, but the 7, 8, 900 people that were there, I mean, they got a good look at tournament play.
Talk about the girls that played on those tournaments, Dick. I know that some of them are still involved in the school, and are also some of them are still involved in basketball.
Well, when my first year, we had 5 freshmen. We called them the Fab Five, and out of that class, there was Amanda Stuckel, post player, and Sarah McShane, who was a great 2-guard, played point on occasion, but was a great 2-guard, and Charlotte Seasley. Charlotte was a year ahead of them. She was a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken, that year. Yeah, and by their senior year, both had gone over 1,000 points. In fact, they did it the same night. Sarah won in the first quarter and Charlotte in the fourth. I mean, they were just the gear point that did as far as scoring, which led our team. And they were not selfish players. It wasn't me ball. It was who was open and who can get a bucket.
Talk a little bit about also the region back in those days, because you didn't play just Christian schools. You played other people and made some noise and really made people aware. In fact, I think your team, those teams, and in Al Scott's teams, now that school of Greenlawn is now in the Indiana High School Athletic Association, and I think it's because of those years that you guys had to really make the administration to take hold to say maybe we can compete in the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
I agree. Al Scott was the boys coach, and he was playing some real tough teams. I know Clinton was very tough for him, and as far as our team, we got to the point that some of the Christian schools didn't want to play us, and so we just started picking up schools like Elkhart Memorial, Elkhart Central, Mishawaka. Mishawaka is a 4A school. And in fact, I remember the first year we played them at their place, and they had us for senior night. It was going to be a big deal for all the seniors. And we ended up beating them by 18. And they were just head hung. And we just quietly walked to our locker room. We got in there, and we erupted because that was really a goal for those kids, is to beat a good team like that.
Dick, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your old buddy, Bill Ludlow, and you, and back in the day when you guys broadcast together. So we'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Hey, everybody, it's Coach from Indiana SRN. Don't forget to listen to Sportszone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern, Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. It is the Sports Zone. Thank you very much for joining us. Dick O'Day from Michigan is joining us. And Dick O'Day, back in 2007, 2008, won a couple state championships of the Indiana Christian State Tournament, and then joined the radio crew with Bill Ludlow. Who ever thought that you and Bill Ludlow would be married in such a way of a broadcasting partner? And thousands of people listened to your broadcast, and they loved it.
Well, it's all Bill. He made me look so good because he's such a professional. He calls the game perfectly and has his ducks in a row as to names. I'm always bad on names, but he had it down like to a science, and all I had to do is add a little bit of color, and we both look good.
The crazy thing with you and Bill Ludlow back in those days, I know that my team competed for a state championship. We won the afternoon game, and you guys didn't even want to interview you. You wanted to interview the kids, and I realized at that point this was all about the kids, and you guys really developed a relationship that grew for a couple of years, and really the state tournament. I think that's when Indiana SRN started realizing that we could broadcast games everywhere in the state of Indiana, and people would actually pay attention.
I mean, I can't explain in words for some reason how powerful you took that organization, to the level it's at. I mean, from our standpoint, the team wanted to be in a tournament, no question about it. They wanted to win games and win the championship. But the thing that struck me most is how well you brought us all into it, and then brought me in to help broadcast the games on the radio. I mean, it was just brilliant.
Talk a little bit about now what you're doing, Dick. I know that are you still coaching, or I know that you wanted to retire and be kind of quiet back in the background. We're going to invite you back down to do a couple of games, I know, this winter, but talk a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, I just resigned from coaching girls at a small school in Eau Claire, Michigan, and I really want to get back to Indiana. No offense to Michigan basketball, but there's nothing like Indiana basketball. I don't care where you go. And I don't know if I want to head coach anymore. I'd love to be a good assistant on a good program. It's just all up in the air right now. With this situation we're all in, as far as locking us down, it's kind of hard to go interview anywhere because nobody's at school. But during the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I work part-time, and it's been very good to me. It keeps me active and do things around the house. It's kind of nice being semi-retired. But I'd still like to keep in coaching. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to coming down. I'd love to do some more games with Bill. That would just be brilliant.
You know, Bill, when I told him, Bill, that you were going to be on the air today, he said, I'm going to be listening to, because I'm going to critique him every single time you make a mistake. And Bill, the one thing you talked about is Bill got his deck in a row. Everything was a numerical order, and you and I used to look at him and made fun of him, but boy, he knew the game, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did. And I think working alongside of it, he made me a better color commentator. He made me sharpen my tools and make sure I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, and you and I had the same barber, and I think we still do have the same barber because we don't have to shave our head. He still has to get a haircut.
I know. I mean, I'm not, I don't see on Facebook some of these people wanting haircuts and get their hair done, and I'm like, no way. I just go shave it.
Hey, Dick, I thank you very much for joining us today. It was a pleasure, and we'll get back with each other once in a while, and I definitely have a spot for you sometime this winter.
Well, I appreciate that a lot, Coach. And listen, I thank you. It's been a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to speak with you.
We'll take a break. When we come back, a lot more for you on the Sports Zone. It's Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
It is the Sports Zone on this gorgeous morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Getting up early this morning and hasn't even had his Wheaties yet. Scotty Hicks joins us, athletic director at Washington High School. So I'll let you have your Wheaties in about 20 minutes. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Let's talk a little bit. You've been at Washington a couple of years, but let's talk before then. You played at Indianapolis Cathedral. You coached at Indianapolis Cathedral. I got to officiate some of your games back in the day. You never passed the ball, and people still want to know why you never passed the ball. But then when you became coaching, you always taught selfishness. Now, what happened? What happened between the lines there?
I'll tell you, what a great opportunity, fond memories of being a player at Cathedral High School, with expectations extremely high, as you know. And we had a great run as a team. Great Kitty Barlow and Shelton Smith, who went on to play at high level college basketball. Had a great career there, and I was fortunate enough to come back and coach there for 13 years, 10 as head coach. Won a few city tournaments, state tournament, Hall of Fame Classic. So it was a great run at Cathedral and tremendous memories.
You know, you're assistant coach back then, and I know when you come back coaching, if you ever come back coaching, your assistant coach then and now will be Greg Piper, who is one of our sponsors on Indiana SRN, as you well know. Piper reminds me all the time about how good and how dominant you guys played, but you had some great talent when you coached at Cathedral. And then you moved to, I think, was it Broad Ripple? You took the coaching job there at Broad Ripple?
Absolutely. And well, Coach Piper, who is my right-hand man, he's on speed dial. If I ever get back into it, he's my number one guy. He specialized in defense. Great coach. Great with the kids. and just been very, very supportive of me and the program and things like that. But we played, we coached as actually 3 years as assistant at Cathedral. And then he was on my staff for 10 years. And then when I went over to Broad Ripple for 8 years, he was also on that staff. So he's done a tremendous job, and we've had some success. Coached Indiana All-Stars at both places, Ron Patterson over at Broad Ripple, and just had some great talent. So I'm very proud of what we've done. And as a group, Piper and I, along with my other coaching staff, they've done a fantastic job.
This year, your Washington team was up and down. Kenny Rosman finishes out his career as he's retiring from coaching. He did a really nice job late in the year and almost won a sectional.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, Coach Rosman, he was on my staff as well at Broad Ripple for a couple of years and coached at Cathedral. Also a Cathedral guy, great offensive coach. Team last year was a little up and down, but came together at the right time and just about pulled out that sectional. Played very well, played a tough Indian Creek team, took them to the wire, and lost on the last second shot. That rim, hit the front of the rim, and really should have pulled it out. But Coach Roseman's done a great job with the program. He's Mr. Washington. He's been there 16 years plus. Knows the kids, knows the program, the culture, and has done a tremendous job both on and off the court. He's also in the classroom and has done a tremendous job of just building relationships and mentoring these kids. So we're very happy for him. And, he has a son over at Chautauqua, and we'll have an opportunity to see him a little bit more. He'll be a junior, great player, and he's up and coming. So we're looking forward for his success as well.
Scotty Hicks joins us, the athletic director of Washington High School. Coach, you walked through and you've been around the City Alliance for a long, long time. I think this year the City Alliance tournament was probably the best tournament that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. Elaborate on the talent that's not only in the city, but the City Alliance, and I think it's going to even get better and better.
Oh, yeah. And if you look at the history of City Alliance in all sports, it's been extremely competitive. And this past season with Addicts and Coach Hawkins and Coach Delaney with Cathedral playing in the finals, it was clear that the two best teams made it to the finals, and they put on a show. And it was a great game, great atmosphere. And if anybody know about the city, that's the way it's been over the years, with great games, overtime games, sellout crowds. So we're very excited about city basketball and as well as all other sports.
And if they would like to watch that game, we have that still on our YouTube page, Scotty. And there's sometimes that I get depressed in the studio and I turn that thing on and watch the two overtimes. It is crazy. It was sold out crowd. It was a lot of fun being there.
Oh yeah. And I mean, as a coach who's been in that situation, as a player who's been in that situation, it doesn't get any better than that. City basketball tournament is very prestigious over the years, and it was wonderful to see those two teams compete to the wire last year.
The next thing that's on my list here is your career at South Bend. Tell us, how did it feel playing at the Notre Dame University and at Joyce Arena?
Oh, it was tremendous, to be honest with you. I can remember my first time walking into that building as a 18-year-old senior, and I just felt like this is the place I want to be. And it was, just great experience. Ken Barlow, who was my teammate for 3 years at Cathedral, he was already there recruiting and got me on campus, and it was just a wonderful experience. We're independent at the time, playing under Coach Digger Phelps, and able to play just about anybody across the country. Had some great memories in that building, beating the North Carolina team with Kenny Smith, and a great DePaul team, and Duke, Coach K, and Johnny Dawkins and those guys coming through, and just having some great memories playing at Notre Dame.
You know, you look back at that, and college basketball at that point was almost at the height because you had years before that, you had Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, but that group of kids, the next level, which was your group and Kenny's group, leveled basketball to where it is today. I mean, a lot of people were disappointed that we didn't do the NCAA tournament, but that's where you heard people getting brackets and developing the teams, and it just exploded basketball. And I think that carried down to the high school level as well. And I think the high school still has that momentum back years ago of what you started when you were at Notre Dame.
Oh, no doubt. I can tell you some stories with some of our guys, you know, because we actually at the George Center, we hosted a few high school tournaments at the time, and we would host the regionals or so on. And I never will forget a couple of guys who, you know, Donald Roy, who was from New Orleans, couldn't believe just the high school and the hype of Indiana high school sports at the time. He walked in and couldn't believe the crowd and just the excitement behind it. And it's carried on just from those days. Indiana basketball is surely Hoosier hysteria. And we remember him walking in and just couldn't believe what Indiana high school basketball is about. And it continues. It continues. But to this day, things have changed a bit, but the excitement is still there.
I'm really disappointed that you never wore a carnation. Digger would be disappointed in you, Scotty.
Well, no, he wouldn't let anybody touch the carnation. That's for sure. I mean, he was sharp as a tack, and that carnation, it was glued to that suit, so nobody was touching that.
You know, I know that there was a manager that literally was in charge of carnation, especially when you played on March 17th. There was actually a manager that's in charge of the carnation. Is that a myth, or is that the truth? Because I heard that is the truth.
You know what? That one passed me up. I didn't know if there was a manager in charge of his suit. It may have been his wife, to be honest with you, because she was very involved in, you know, a part of the team. And you know, Digger was, Coach Phelps was surely sure that coordination was a part of his suit. So it may have came with the suit, you know.
I got to meet him one time, and his character and his sense of humor was unbelievable. And he took time out of a guy, you know, a young announcer at that point, and took time. He always had time for his coaches and his players, and he was a good man. I think he was a really good coach.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he had a great coaching staff around him, Pete Gillen and Brokaw and that crew, but Coach Phelps did a tremendous job, and his strength for me was just motivating us to play at our potential. His speeches were Newt Rockney style speeches. So I mean, he was one of the best in motivating, just in-game situations of adjusting and things of that nature. And never will forget, we played in North Carolina, #1 ranked team coming up in the South Bend. And I mean, you know, if you come up in South Bend ranked #1, you expect them to lose. And he had Donald Roy not cut down the nets the day before practice, and I mean, just stuff like that. And at the game, I mean, we ended up fortunate enough beating the North Carolina team who was ranked #1, and we were cutting down nets. I still have the nets to this day. Cut down nets like we won the national championship. So that was Coach Phelps for you.
Yeah, and he got away with it. That's you do that now, and boy, you're in trouble. Hey, Scotty, we're going to take
a little different back then.
Yeah, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the IPS Athletic.TV contract that you're a part of. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job, that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
Hey everybody, it's Coach from Indiana SRN. Don't forget to listen to Sportszone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
Indiana SRN, where you are always in the game.
It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. Scotty Hicks, the athletic director of George Washington High School in Indianapolis. The Indianapolis Public Schools Athletic.tv network begins this fall, and 9 big football games on the schedule already, Coach, and 8 volleyball games. And a kind of a neat thing for IPS to branch out and now have their own TV network, and Indiana SRN is very excited about being the host of that network.
Oh, this is fantastic for the entire district, for IPS athletics. This gives opportunity for great exposure, not only to our big, large teams, but teams that are, just don't get that type of exposure. But it is great to publicity for our kids, as well as our coaches and our schools. It's just fantastic, and we're very excited to have you part of the team.
Yeah, talk a little bit about, there's a history between Indiana SRN and you. Cathedral was one. Broad Ripple, definitely your little run 2 years back to back. We got to do a lot of those games. Those were radio games. Now with web TV, I know you've seen some of the stuff that we've done. What kind of exposure, and do you think the state will now recognize that IPS has something going on?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're one of the best. I mean, in that opportunity to have our, feature our coaches, feature our schools, our players who a lot of people haven't heard of. We this past season we were talking about Coach Roseman and one of his kids. We had Keelan Hill, who averaged 23 points, almost double-figure rebounds, and just had a great year, but nobody really heard of him. And he was fortunate enough to make All-City and just, get out there. But we just, this will just give us opportunity to put our kids on the forefront, just highlighting them and just giving the whole community, IPS community, opportunity to see a lot of our talent.
The football program for IPS has been a little lukewarm lately, but Tech is making a nice little run. You guys were very good last year. Addicts had a winning season last year. Shortridge still looking to get some momentum, but it looks like they've made some changes as well. But the volleyball program, Scotty, as you well know, 4 of those IPS teams made the top 12 into the City Alliance tournament for the first time in a long time. So volleyball is taking a big jump. Great coaches, and the facilities have really cleaned up, and even the girls are getting in the action, which is really kind of cool.
Oh, that's great. I tell you, our coach, Coach Ashley Ford, she's be going in her 3rd year this year, and it's done a tremendous job of just building the program. A lot of our young ladies, I mean, that's the first time they're out there. It's they've never touched a volleyball, and just the progress over the year is fantastic. So this is wonderful. This gives our teams, both boys and girls teams, opportunity to showcase what they have, and that's just going to bring more confidence to our teams and our girls, and just have opportunity to get out there and compete.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to see a big dent of the City Alliance where those teams are dominating a little bit. That would be a blessing not only to the IPS network, but also to us as Indiana SRN. What is your fondest memory as we've wrapped this thing up? What is your fondest memory of being at George Washington High School?
Wow. I mean, I have actually, it's the rich history and rich tradition here at Washington. I tell you, I have family here that went here, so I have a long history at Washington. And I tell you, last year when we had opportunity to celebrate our 50th anniversary of the state championship team with George McGinnis and Steve Downing and Wayne Pack, who was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was probably one of the highlights thus far. Just sitting around and talking to those guys was just, it was priceless. It was an interview that was supposed to go for about 25 minutes. It turned into an hour and a half interview of the former team and the former cheerleaders just sitting around talking, and that was just brought back a lot of great memories. And it was just very, very fun. And just seeing our teams just compete and move to the next level. And we have a great foundation, and we just think the future is bright.
You talk about the play teams that are in this IPS school system. You got Indianapolis Tech, who has probably one of the finest gymnasiums in the state of Indiana, and the history that's in that gymnasium. You look at Shortridge and the history that's in that gymnasium. Washington, history in that gymnasium, and Addicts. I mean, when you walk in, I know I have some young announcers, as you are very well, Scott, that will walk into the gymnasium and go, "You mean George McGinnis played in here? You mean Oscar Robinson played in this gym?" It's just amazing the talent that has came across those four schools, and now putting that as a network, and now broadcasting that around the world. People are going to see not only historic buildings and histories of games, but young athletes that are going to make history as well. And it's kind of cool to be part of that.
Yes. The history in IPS is just tremendous across the board. And each one of the four schools has done a great job. The ADs have done a tremendous job of just continuing that tradition. And, and it starts at the top. We think Ben and Thomas have done a fantastic job of just keeping things together and just being able to promote our program and move it to the next level, because that's what we're trying to do. And like you said, the facilities are second to none. I mean, IPS as a whole has had some of the great facilities, and there's great memories in those facilities. So we look forward to continuing that tradition.
In 1978, there's a guy that wore number 4 at Thomas Carr Howe High School, and they retired the number the next year because they didn't go to single digits until 1996. Some other coach ruined it. They brought digits back, and 4 was then worn. Kind of disappointed, but I remember back in those days, those long tube socks that I wore in my fro, I looked pretty good back in those uniforms back then, Coach.
Well, the socks, I'm sure, was looking good, but how was the shorts doing that time?
They were a little short. I still remember playing Christmas Addicts. I graduated from Howe, and Larry Humes coached our basketball team. But a couple of years later, I'm helping coach at Cecina, and Larry comes with his short green uniforms with his gold socks with Larry Jr. shooting a jump shot. And I look back at those pictures, Scotty, and I literally go, "Holy smokes, why in the world were we wearing Speedos playing basketball?"
I tell you, it was a sight I showed my sons my Notre Dame shorts, and I don't even think I can get one leg in it at the time. So it's bad. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. So, Scott, we
right.
thank you very much for your time. We're looking forward to working at Washington High School with some bonus games. The network is going to be pretty exciting, and we get to rub elbows together. And, boy, that's going to be fun. And, it's going to be sad not to see Kenny Roseman being on the sideline with his ugly purple shorts and shoes. But, I think he might see a little bit of Washington High School as well. I think he's going to do some color for us during the basketball season. So it should be a lot of fun.
That's fantastic. I appreciate you having me on, Keith. This was great, and I tell you, we're very excited of having you guys on board to come and just give us some exposure and just highlight our kids. I mean, we're very, very happy with the relationship, and I look forward to it. And absolutely, we'll have you in for some bonus games as well.
We'll take a break. When we come back, a lot more for you. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
Boy, the morning just flew by. Our last guy, not least though, guy that you probably hear at the Indianapolis Indians if you sharpen your pencil or get your quail out. It's Dave the Pig. Hey, Piggy, how are you?
Hey, doing well, and you?
I'm doing really well. A lot of people will recognize your voice as the public address announcer for the Indianapolis Indians. You've been doing that for, wow, how many years? 35, 40 years now?
It sure seems that way, and yet it feels like I started yesterday. I actually finished my 10th season last year, and I'm getting ready to do my 11th as soon as they turn us loose and get us a baseball season again.
Let's hope that July 4th would be a great day to kick off baseball, huh?
Wouldn't it, though? That'd be a great, fantastic packed house.
Yes, it would. And Indiana SRN would be there because I would probably think that we would want to do our pregame shows again as we're looking forward to doing that. We would have at least had 3 or 4 of those in by now. But, you just got to take your time. The governor, I think, is doing an outstanding job, and our mayor is doing an outstanding job to keep everybody nice and safe. And that's what we want to do, keep people safe and practice that distancing. And then when July 4th comes, hit it pretty hard.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about your history. Not only do you the Indianapolis Indians, you do also the Ice. You missed both of those seasons this year, so it's been a kind of rough year for you. What are you doing? Are you doing some announcing in the bathtub with the boat races, or how are you entertaining yourself? I know somehow you're entertaining yourself.
Well, I do, and I'll get to that. The Indy Fuel, I just finished my 2nd season with them. That came to an abrupt halt with the coronavirus pandemic. Very disappointing because we were in line to go to the playoffs, and we really thought that the first Wednesday of baseball season would have been a day game at Victory Field, followed by a night game for me at Indiana Farmers Coliseum for the Fuel playoffs, and kind of missed out on that. Very exciting. I've never called hockey before, and that I actually had a fun little story in getting that job. Mr. McQuarrie, the president, made the offer to me after auditioning and said, "I'd like you to be the new voice of the Indy Fuel." And I said, sir, I need to be 100% honest with you. I've never called a hockey game in my life. And he said, well, I'll put it to you this way. I can't teach anyone your voice, but I can teach you hockey. And he won my heart on that one. And I've had just the absolute best time ever hanging out with a hockey team.
Isn't that a broadcaster's dream when they said your voice is terrific? You know, I'm glad it's my voice that people like and not my face, because, you know, now that we started webcasting, David, it's kind of interesting when people go, oh, you look like that.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Yeah. So
in my full-time job, I'm a call center representative. So I frequently tell people that it's my job, no matter what microphone I'm behind, to sound like I'm 6'4", 225 pounds, blonde hair, and blue-eyed. And I am none of that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With this coronavirus, I've gained about 20 pounds. No, I haven't gained that much, but it's eating is becoming a second nature to me pretty quickly. So.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the Indians, because I know you not only do you announce, but you go down before game time. I know that we've had you a couple of times on Indiana SRN. We've seen you do some basketball games as well, but you go down and mingle with the fans. You've always been kind to us of coming on the air, talking positive things. And so is that your duty? Do you feel like you not only do you have to be the voice, so to speak, but you also have to really know your audience, and you do a really good job of doing that, David. I really mean that sincerely. You do a great job of making people very comfortable at the Vic.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. It's getting ready to start my 11th season with the Indians organization, and primarily my job is just simply to come in the door, go straight upstairs, take my position, and do my thing. Now, there are some days where I get there early enough that I'm already prepped, ready to go. I might have a break, and I'll either run down to the concourse and grab something to eat there, or, like you said, mingle with the fans, because there have been so many opportunities to hang out with great people. I just love the Indians fans, predominantly in any sport that I've had the privilege to announce. The warmth and reception and the feedback has just been top notch. I've always held the opinion when doing my job that I will ask people, what do you think? And people will tell me, usually they like what I do, but my answer back is, if that opinion changes, let me know, because I can't get better if you don't tell me, because I'm probably not going to pick up on things that I goofed up on, or a style that doesn't quite fit, because I've tried to adjust and wear many different faces and voices and character impressions and such to fit into any situation, so that the proper timbre, the proper pitch, the proper speed is delivered at the right time. You certainly don't want to have a moment of silence announced the same way that you would do at the bottom of the ninth when we've got runners in scoring position to win the game. Likewise, you want to be respectful at all levels, whether you're announcing for the visitors or the home team. And it's quite the juggling act, and I want to make sure that I get it right, not just from those that I work for, but essentially the fans, the real ones that I work for.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the relationship that you have with the MC who does the games behind the scenes. I know, again, when we're up in the press box or when we're doing our show, we see that characteristic that it's really kind of positive, and you guys play off each other very, very well, whoever's emceeing, and that's really important. That brings the fans into the game as well to see what kind of crazy thing you guys are going to say or do to make it entertaining for our fans.
Scott Allen is our MC, and he's also the MC for the Indy Fuel. So we get to practice year-round, making sure that we feed off of one another in a positive fashion in such a way that the fans can enjoy it. We're not necessarily trying to pull the attention to us and take it away from either team, but we want to make sure that everyone's having a good time and knows that, hey, this is recreation. This is kick back and relax. This is leave your worries at the gate. We got this. chillax and just enjoy yourself. But Scott and I have been working together for, wow, I want to say at least 4 years. I don't remember when he and I first got going, but I appreciated his wit, his banter, and his lightning quick responses to things. Mm-hmm. And I get to play the straight man in the comedy team, and he can pull out the fun stuff. Likewise, he's okay with getting as good as he gives. So it has been a lot of fun working together. And when other MCs have stepped in, when he's either not been scheduled or has a schedule conflict of some kind, they try to fill in as best they can. And I try to make them feel as comfortable as if they were doing it all the time, so that the fans don't feel too much difference from one game to the next.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Indiana SRN and you and your connection with us a little bit, because you've done a great job promoting us a little bit. We talk a little bit about that and how we got to meet. And, it was in front of a line of a hot dog stand that I first met you. But we'll talk a little bit of that when we come back. You got 2 minutes that you can wait for us?
Absolutely.
We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Indiana SRN and the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
Hey everybody, it's Coach from Indiana SRN. Don't forget to listen to Sportszone every day right here, 11 to 12 noon Eastern. Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
It's been said the night is always darkest just before the dawn. Maybe you can relate right now. But make no mistake about it, a new day is dawning. Opportunity and promise are on the horizon for all of us. And just like in high school sports, we'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA will look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
It's coming. It's coming. IPSathletics.tv. High school sports on the World Wide Web. Every big game on IPSathletics.tv. Football, volleyball, basketball, and much more. Coming this fall, IPSathletics.tv. Let the games begin.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Back on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. Dave Pig joins us. We call him Piggy. And, a few years back, we were at the Indianapolis Indians, the Victory Field, and you came down and we're in the line together. And all of a sudden we communicated. And then I realized who you were by the voice. Then you got to know us a little bit during the baseball state tournament of what Indiana SRN does. And you've come in the booth a couple times in between innings and see how we're doing and taking care of us that way. Your thought about first the internet radio network that we've done, now all of a sudden it's expanded to webcast. Your thoughts about how the long way we've come.
I'm excited at how you've grown and developed, and can't wait to see what more lies ahead. The quality of broadcast that you bring, the quality of content is just second to none. Anyone that wants to get a good idea of what Indiana sports is all about needs to tune into you first and then come see what it is that you're covering, because there's just no more genuine report out there. You tell it like it is. You don't sugarcoat anything, and that's what a true sports fan deserves.
Well, I thank you for those comments. With Steve McClure, Sean Crawl's been with us since day one, Bill Ludlow, and, the old guys are now turning over, and now young broadcasters are coming in, and it's like everything else. They want to jump into the really hot bed, but you really have to pay your dues, and you understand that, and I understand that. So there's a young broadcaster that wants to do that. We're a great start to begin because we've seen a lot of people leave us, as you know, and now are doing other things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If there's anything that has a high turnover, it's the foot in the door moment of any great establishment.
So your thoughts of the baseball, when do you think we're going to play? You think July 4th is a good start, or you think we'll start sometime in July and maybe play abbreviated schedule?
I haven't actually been given a date yet. With the changes that have been made at Victory Field, such as the new club, the new sound system, the new control room and production room, I haven't even had a chance to go in and do sound checks yet to be ready for a live performance. So I'm still waiting for that before we even get the green light to play ball. Would I love to have it in July 4th? To be honest, I'd love to start tonight, but July 4th would be a great date if we can hit it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your time. I know you're really busy this morning, and thank you so much. And your thoughts and prayers that you always take care of us. And Dave, you're a friend and you're part of the family. And if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. And hey, once we do our pregame show, we got to get you down so people can recognize and hear your voice, and we can get some ratings so we can get our ratings back up to where they should be.
Oh, your ratings are well earned long before my ugly face gets it. Don't you sweat that one.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, for spending with us.
Thank you.
Well, now, this guy's been on the show so long that he's got his own theme song. Erin Ferguson joins us from up north in the Northwest and is a sports editor at the Times up there. And we're doing this helmet challenge, and Indiana helmet challenge has caught on fire. I know that people have retweeted me several times and also messages me, Erin, that they really like this thing. And you've developed something here that I think a lot of people like to see what's going on.
Yeah, it's really great to see all the mentions that I'm getting, and I'm as well getting messages from people that are enjoying it. So, yeah, it's really awesome, and I feel like the first part of the second round kind of really exploded and took off now that the word's gotten out there a little bit. And not that I'm looking forward to next year because we have plenty to decide still this year, but
right.
I think next year it's going to be even bigger with more teams involved, and hopefully bigger is better.
Yeah, if you just joined us about this, go to Erin's Twitter account. It's
it is sports_Erin, AARON.
And check out his Twitter there. And there's this event started with over 80 helmets. They're all Indiana schools, or all Indiana football schools, and you vote. And we're down to the last 14 on the second round. But the winners of the first 16, Eastbrook, Kokomo, Lewis Cass, Mooresville, New Haven, Evansville Memorial, West Lafayette, Lafayette Jeff, Charlestown, Frankton, South Newton, Kankakee Valley, Alexander Monroe, Bishop Lords, Northview, and Richmond. And we go back to the South Newton, and they matched up with Jennings County. That was the closest vote you've ever had, and it was less than a percentage point that South Newton pulled it out.
Yeah, we actually had two that were just nail tight, and that one was really cool because I checked with an hour and a half left in the poll, and it said it was 50-50 with an even number of votes. So I don't know if there's a fraction of a percentage leaning one way or the other, but that was one that was back and forth the entire time. It was just really cool to watch and see the school support coming in from the administrators and the coaches and then students and parents. It was really cool to see that. It ended up being decided by 17 total votes. South Newton had a 318-301 advantage when the poll expired. And then the other one actually set the record for most votes in a total matchup was West Lafayette beating Delta 433 to 418. And, that was another one that was just back and forth. You didn't know kind of who was going to pull ahead, and it went down to the wire there at the very end. And, that's what this has become. The second round had matchups full of this where it's just back and forth. You didn't know who's going to pull ahead. And it was really cool to see the school support coming in from the different schools and the different social media pushes that they were bringing to try and win this thing.
Yeah, it is funny. Central Indiana is going to be represented in these next 14 teams, and I know Central Indiana has responded to a lot of people, especially Indiana SRN, because we're pushing it. I know you retweeted our little thing. Let's go Central Indiana. Let's get some votes in. So it's the competition has been a lot of fun. I know you have a great time doing it. We're having a great time following it, and it just seems like this is one event that people, for the next couple of days, they can keep their mind on something else that's fun and safe and harmless. And I think that's the cool thing is we're giving something positive back to the fans out there, and you can see it through and through.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned this before, but the cool thing for me is I moved to Indiana, as a new job here in late October. Football season was basically over by the time I got here. So for me, it's another way to learn the schools, and what's better than a football helmet? Probably the most recognizable thing that each school has, year in and year out. All the uniforms look similar for the most part, and the helmets are kind of the identity, at least in the fall of the school. When you think of the community that supports the football team, and really there's nothing like it in high school sports. It's just that community support. So it's not just about the school. It's not just about the football players. It's about the cheerleaders, the band, the classmates, the parents, the neighbors, and just everyone in the community. So I think it's really cool, and I'm really enjoying it.
The next voting is coming late this afternoon, so check out Erin's Twitter account. We will follow him once he gets all the brackets done. We will follow him. I know we'll start voting right away as well. And you got us involved. And you got me hooked on this thing, and it's kind of cool. And give your Twitter account one more time for people so they can start voting later on this afternoon. I would tell you, folks, check back around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Give him time to get all things ready, but we'll be ready to vote. And then those votings open for 48 hours. Correct?
Yep. Yeah. So they'll wrap up Wednesday afternoon, and then we'll start a new batch, the round of 32. There will be 16 more matchups starting Thursday. So this thing is getting rolling. We'll be wrapped up here after Memorial Day, and the winner's going to get a spot in the national tournament. And you can go vote on my Twitter page. It is @sports_Erin. Go ahead, just follow along. Give me a follow, so you don't miss anything. I tweet the polls out at least once per day. Don't just vote for your own school or vote for your own matchup. Go vote through all of them. There's going to be plenty of different helmets, different varieties, and, you get to learn the schools around the state a little bit too.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it. We'll talk again till you talk Thursday morning, and then we'll talk again on Friday. Thanks so much, Erin.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Hello, this is Deb from Indiana SRN, and I'm here to say thank you to our loyal sponsors, schools, coaches, and friends. Your support continues to keep high school athletics on internet radio and webcast. It is our goal to highlight student athletes throughout our great state. We are scheduled to broadcast over 300 games this season, and you can find us broadcasting at high school football stadiums, basketball and volleyball courts, baseball and softball diamonds, next to the wrestling mats, at lacrosse fields, and the soccer pitch. If you would like to know more about how to get your favorite school on radio or webcast, contact us by email at coach@indianasrn.org. Coach has enjoyed his time with you during the Sportszone show. Thank you again. And if you're enjoying this show or would like to sponsor any of our broadcasts, you can contact us via email at coach@indianasrn.org. Thank you again for listening and watching Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. And don't forget to join us Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern for the Sports Zone.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.